Yeah, Coach, how different is the challenge this week, particularly on defense, facing a team obviously a much different approach than Navy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just really two completely different styles of football, and uh, you look at really how diverse they are with what they do offensively. They have exceptional skill, two excellent quarterbacks, and then return three of their five guys up front. So your point on.
When you look at those two quarterbacks, obviously they haven't announced a starter. How different are they? What do you really know about them?
I mean, Starkel. I think everybody knows about Starkel. May have been the top quarterback in his class coming out of high school. There's a reason why he ended up at Texas A&M and could have gone anywhere that he wanted to. Obviously, a huge pickup for their program, and yet at the same time to have a guy that's as balanced, at least in terms of the approach, in Nick Nash too. So two really good players.
Hey, Coach. I'm just curious if it's been challenging having this 3-week lull after all the buildup towards the Navy game.
No, I mean, I don't. We really weren't into the build-up part of it. Maybe on the peripheral there was, and we have a really strong opponent that we play this Saturday. But even more so, I mean, just we have so many guys that are really just starting to play college football that I think this is an opportunity for an additional experience, and certainly a part of that means playing a road game too.
And I'm also curious what a road game is going to look like for you guys in this unique year with everything going on.
I think it's a great question. I mean, certainly you're accustomed to when you hop on the plane that it's pretty full, and we got a good number of people that are part of the contingent. Where here that's not the case, and I would even anticipate roster-wise in terms of a travel roster, we might be a little bit smaller than maybe what we've been in previous seasons, just to try to limit some of the contact tracing and more than anything else, trying to create just a little more space or openness.
Hi, Coach. Diane here from Academy Football Report. And I'm curious how, sort of to follow up, piggyback on Taylor, last year there was quite an atmosphere in San Jose when you played then, and that's not going to be there. So do you feel like it's a little bit more evenly or last year you guys played at home, sorry, but do you feel like it's going to be a little bit more evenly matched because they don't have that home crowd advantage?
I guess we'll get there and we'll find out. It's just I think that's a real variable that you kind of look down the road here that's going to be the case here for the next couple of months, and more importantly, like I said, I mean we're going to play against a strong opponent, and we got to continue to grow and develop. But it's neat to be alongside the players and the coaches that we have here because they do want to improve, and we've seen that, and hopefully that continues this afternoon when we practice also.
And a follow-up, Diane?
I just wonder, is there any different way that you work on practicing with the guys when you know that there's not that home field advantage for the other team?
Probably not. I mean, I think to answer your question, there are times maybe where we bring in noise to a practice, try to create, a little more fog and friction if it was in battle. This is in battle. But just so there's, the focus that's required on the snap count, some of the communication. We don't audible a whole lot, but if there is, something that's got to occur, say between a linebacker and a safety, or to recall a front with our defensive front being able to do that, where maybe that's not quite as big a factor.
Hi, Coach. I saw a release where you and your whole staff, I guess, were nominated for the Armed Forces Merit Award. Just wonder if you could comment on what that's all about, what it means to you and your program.
The Armed Forces Merit Award, I know it's a fantastic award, and I mean we're about service. The men and women here at the United States Air Force Academy, and our staff too. I mean we want to give to others. It's just who we are, and Now, do we want to try to do a really, really good job with our guys here when it comes to having them earn a heck of an education, develop some more discipline, even stronger sense of personal responsibility, and to try to play competitive football too? Yes, we do. But if you serve and you give to others, I don't know anyone who's ever done that looks back and says, "Well, I regret that," because we certainly would not.
And Tom, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, the two guys we're going to meet with later, Coach, are both seniors that haven't played much, which isn't that unusual for academy football, but just comment on how the two of them have stuck with it to this point and getting a chance to start.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at Troy here. So that's Will Trawick, I believe, and Dan Morris. Those two with whom you're going to visit. And Tom, I mean, just exceptional young men. I think when we identified them when they were in high school, we had a pretty strong sense that through continued growth and maturity that they were going to be really, really, really strong officer candidates, and certainly shows on the field as football leaders, but even beyond that too. High quality young men.
Hey, Coach, hope all is well. We're just curious with everything that's kind of transpired, what the excitement level is for your team just to, one, have a conference football season, and two, get to kick that off, this Saturday.
Yeah, Dylan, it's we've certainly had a few days and a few weeks of practice. To think, since we started back in August, and especially in late August there. And so it's going to be good for us to play. I kind of feel like I'm saying what I recited to a degree even prior to our first game, just in the sense that we need to play games. And I think when you have as many guys that we do that are, this is kind of their initial run at college football, they realize what you do in practice in terms of your training is going to be helpful, but playing ball games is going to help these guys. I think especially a couple of years from now for the number of guys that we're playing that are in the younger classes too.
And Dylan, a follow-up?
Yeah, Coach, just kind of piggybacking off that, what are you most intrigued about as a head coach going into this situation with a lot of new players? Is it how they handle the environment, how they build off this Navy game? What are you looking for as a head coach to kind of see from your team on the road now?
Yes, sir. I think just, when you do play on the road, it's a little bit different, and we kind of said it a little bit earlier in regards to, the travel that's a part of that, being able to, if you're bringing your books, to try to get ahead in some classes academically to do that. I never tell our guys not to watch TV, but being disciplined enough not to overdo it in that regard, especially when you play an evening game. I think that's important. And maybe even being able to get just a little more rest too. That can be a plus also.
Yeah, Coach, when in regards to travel, are you taking Mill Air or are you chartering a plane? How are you getting there?
We're not. We're going to charter.
Okay. And in terms of your quarterback, how much, playing a game, how much have you seen a difference in Hazik Daniels over the last 3 weeks versus going into that game?
Golly, I mean, he's played one game. Yes, sir. I think, you look at Zeke and you look at Warren Bryan, they're going to benefit from practice. I just look at all of our players, and I think we tend to, on the outside, maybe look at quarterback a little bit more so, yet within our program, I mean, just being able to develop and to improve, that's our aim. It truly is each day when we go out and practice, and it will be this afternoon, and then just being able to, we try to pull from experiences that all our guys have, even from practices, to say, hey, you remember that day when we scrimmaged at the stadium and it was 3rd and 2 and we were from our own 32, and there's a reason why we took a shot down the field. We thought maybe on 4th down we'd go for it. That's why, as long as you don't take a sack. And but your recall is probably a little more from game experiences, and we'll see. And I think it will. I think as we move in the future, that'll be helpful.
Brent, go ahead.
And the Mountain West just announced that the New Mexico-Colorado State game is off. because of, I guess, an outbreak near New Mexico. Going forward, is this just something you're going to have to be ready to adjust to at the last second? And any thoughts on that cancellation?
Brent, I mean, no doubt. I mean, I think, you've seen it across the landscape in about every sport. I mean, if it's the Marlins or the Cardinals in baseball, if it's, in the NFL, there have been a good number of reschedules, and certainly in college football too. And so, you like anything in life, you try to, you got to grasp what you really can get a hold of, and there are a good number of things of which you aren't able to get a hold of, and yet I don't think that part can ever get you all spun up. I mean, I remember Mom said once, "Hey, you know what? It doesn't help to worry, but having concerns, you can. Well, let's really take care of the things that we can," and that is, I do think we can do everything possible when it comes to the discipline of our own health. Now, there could still be an unfortunate encounter of which you do not know. It may not be within 6 feet, maybe something that you've touched, and we can study hard and we can lift hard, and certainly when it goes to practice, we can have some focus and make some strides that way. So, in a long-winded way, it's you just got to do the best you can with what you can do.
And have there been any effects of the coronavirus or any restrictions on your team in the past couple of weeks?
Golly, we're going to have some hurdles. We have had hurdles, and we will have hurdles. And I think it's naive not to think that would not happen either. Yeah, hopefully it does not, as you move forward. But I think we also got to be realistic too.
Hi, Diane Roberts, Academy Football Report. I'm just wondering if you think you guys are going to have any sort of advantage because you've been practicing and you had a game, and this is San Jose's their opening game of the season.
Yeah, so we've been working really hard getting ready for San Jose this week. We've had some good practices getting ready for them, and we've got a few more to get ready for Saturday, and we're going to take full advantage of these practices and days we have left in preparing, and should be a fun one on Saturday.
Diane, follow up?
Sorry, yes. What do you think will be the biggest challenge facing them?
I mean, they're a good team. They've got a good offense and pretty good defense too, and so it'll be a good football game, and it'll be a 4-quarter game, and we're looking forward to getting after it on Saturday and competing.
Hey, Will, I hope all's going well. After that impressive win over Navy, how excited is this team just to kind of get back on the football field and prove that this is the team that you guys have? Ultimately, a lot of new faces, but a good football team, and one that's looking to kind of double up on what you did in the opener.
Yeah, so that Navy game, that was a fun game. That was a fun win. And, there's just a bunch of guys that love to compete and love to get after it every single week, no matter who we're playing. So, we're really looking forward to Saturday and just having the opportunity to play some football.
Dylan, follow up?
And just for this Air Force program overall, I'm sure a lot of the Mountain West Conference teams are looking at your team and not really sure what to expect yet. So, how important is it to kind of go out and make a statement and show this conference that even with a lot of new players that you guys, mean business here in 2020?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime you go out there on the football field, you want to compete and show everybody, how good you are and how well you can play. And so that's what we're going to do this week. Same thing we're going to do every week is just do the best we can do and compete. It's a bunch of guys that love to compete.
What kind of unity is there on this defense? Because you guys together are going through such a unique, this is a crazy scenario to have basically a total turnover on defense and then to come out and play the way you did. Like, what kind of cohesion is that built?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely an interesting time right now, but it's I'd say we've got a pretty good unit. We work well together. Like I've said, a bunch of guys that love to compete in the weight room, in the off season, and practice. And I think that we've been working well together and just continuing to try to be our best and get better every single day.
And for you, what did you envision your role being as a senior, going into last year's spring ball?
I just wanted to contribute as much as I could, wherever I could, and be the best that I could be. And I'm fortunate to be in the situation I am right now. I'm excited to play and compete this weekend.
Hey there. I'm curious about these 3 weeks in between games. Was it kind of challenging having that lull in between games, or what did you use the time?
I see what you're saying. So I would say that altogether we've as a unit we've been pretty good at staying focused and knowing that we just have to use every single day and every practice that we can to get better because we have a lot of areas we can improve on. We saw that a few weeks ago, and we see that every day. We have a lot of areas we can get better at, and so I think we've done a pretty good job of just working and competing every single day to improve ourselves, stay focused.
Yeah, for sure. And with this unique year, what changes are you guys expecting with your first road game and the travel experience for the team?
I'm not really sure what you're asking. I mean, we'll be wearing masks everywhere we go, and so, I mean, I guess that's one change that we didn't see a year ago on the road, wearing masks on the airplanes and while traveling, but that'll be a change we see for sure.
Yeah, you go from seeing that Navy offense, which obviously triple option that you guys see a lot in practice, now going to a more traditional or pass heavy offense. How different is that going to be for this defense?
Right. So, I mean, you said it, it's different focus as, Navy, it was a more run focus and now it's more pass. So it's just a little bit different ball game, but at the end of the day, it's still football, and we're just going to go out there and do the best we can do and play football, compete.
Okay. And is this becoming kind of a fun rivalry? I mean, the last couple games against San Jose have been really good games. I mean, last year, had there not been some fourth down stops, it would have been a lot closer. And the game out there, Arion Worthman threw for a, last minute touchdown. They've been competitive. Are you aware of that? Do you sense that?
I mean, absolutely. They're a good football team, and we know that. And like you said, it could have been closer. But, yeah, we're aware they're a good football team, and we're excited to compete against them on Saturday.
Hey, Will, it's not unusual for Academy's players to not play much until their senior year and then have a big senior year. And it's kind of unusual, especially in this era of the transfer portal. Just talk about what made you stick with it for this long and the payoff.
Yeah, so this is my first year playing here, but I love football. Always have loved football growing up. It's a fun game. It's fun to compete, and quitting was never on my mind. I just love coming down here and getting after it in the weight room, practice, whatever my role has been on the team, just to do the best I could and help the team become as good as it can be and prepared for Saturdays. And it's fun being able to compete on Saturdays now, and it's fun.
And where do you think you improved the most to get into this position?
Everything. Just sticking with it for 4 years, getting stronger and more physical in the weight room. That's one big area that's helped out a lot. And then just time in the system, time practicing. We've got great coaches that do a really good job of developing players into their time here, and just improving, even if it's just a little bit every single day, every practice.
Hi, I'm just checking to see how you're feeling heading into a game with a team that hasn't played yet this season. You have been practicing. You had a big win. Do you feel like you have any sort of advantage over them?
Conditioning wise, I think we might have an advantage just having played Navy and having practiced for so long. But at the same time, I mean, college football is college football. It's the best of the best, and we're just going to go out there and give it our best shot.
What do you see as the biggest challenge? Is it being on the road, even though there aren't going to be fans in the stands? You don't have to deal with that. Or is it the team itself? What do you see as the biggest challenge?
Being on the road for us, I think, won't be a challenge, but it's going to be our first time this year. And then we're going to have a lot of guys, it's going to be their first time on the road as well. And then just going and playing a conference game, they're a good opponent, and they give us a run for our money. So, I mean, that's really all I see as being a challenge for us.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Do you think the passing game will factor more heavily this week? I mean, I've seen enough Air Force football to know that when you can run, you're going to keep running. But the passing game is always there as a threat. Do you think it'll be something you guys go to more this week?
I don't know if we'll necessarily go for it more than we ever would. I mean, kind of like you said, we're going to run the ball as much as we can. When we feel like we need to throw the ball, we'll throw the ball. So our coaches do a great job getting us prepared every week, and we do a good job preparing. So if we have to bring it out, we'll bring it out.
And as a passer, how would you kind of evaluate Zeke Daniels?
Oh, I love Physique. It's been fun being able to be around him, and he's grown so much in the past 2 months. So he gets better and better every day, and he learns, and he wants to be a good passer. So, he's only a sophomore, so obviously there's growing pains here and there, but he's doing a great job. He's being a good leader, so I think it's only uphill from here. Or downhill. Downhill would probably be the better way to say that. Only up from here, only downhill, yeah.
Hey, Daniel, appreciate that. You might have just coined a phrase there moving forward here. Quick question just about playing that first game and how vital that was for an offense that has so many new parts to it, to kind of get that game under your belt, the triple option, a good opponent in Navy. I mean, just how important was that for the offense overall to have one of those games?
We left some points out on the board, but that's a good learning experience for us. And really the biggest thing for us here is it's always the next man up. You never know when you're going to get your shot. So it was good to get everybody in and get a game of experience before we start moving into conference play, moving down the road, because we've got 7 games. So going to be a good stretch for us.
Dylan, do you have a follow-up?
Yep, just for a follow-up here. So many, as I mentioned, new players on this team. What's the excitement level like for a lot of players who have waited their turn, haven't had the opportunity yet, and here this season comes and so many players are getting their first chances? Do you feel that kind of a practice in the game that, so many guys are just happy to be out there, like you said, playing D1 college football right now?
Yeah, I definitely think there's a certain excitement level. I can speak off my own experience last year. Super exciting getting to go out and play college football every week. And being here in a program where, it's mostly the upperclassmen playing. You have to develop as a freshman and sophomore, and then really as a junior and senior, you kind of get your chance to go out there and shine. So having kids that are freshmen and sophomores getting to develop and get that experience at the same time is a great thing. So there's definitely a different excitement level than normal here.
Hey, Daniel, just talk about what made you stick with it as long as you did, and where you improved to get to this position. This is the era of the transfer portal where a lot of college kids take off when they're not playing.
Really what kind of kept me going was, it's just a love for the game. If you're here and you're playing football, you love it. We practice hard, we practice a lot, and that's fun. I'd rather be practicing football than doing a lot of other things that other people are doing. And then it's the guys. We have a great group of guys on this team. And what's been cool this year is getting to be a little bit closer to the underclassmen than normal because we're all together. And we've had those turnbacks, and we have those freshmen and sophomores stepping up. So that's kind of what kept me going, and I think that's kind of what they're starting to see is how much fun it truly is. Practice is tough, but once you get that first taste of game experience, there's nothing better.
Where do you think you made your biggest strides from last year in your own game?
I don't know. Probably my route running. I've started paying a lot more attention to detail last year. We had Gerard Sanders, great receiver, and I got to watch him and learn a lot from him. And then this offseason, I really tried to take steps every day with Coach Confessor and our assistant, Coach Skeen, and just trying to really fine-tune the little details. I don't have to be the fastest guy out there, but if I can get out of my break a little quicker. So every day just trying to kind of fine-tune my route running skills where I think I made the biggest strides.
Daniel, just a question on the Mountain West Conference starting up here. Obviously, a lot of good teams this year, and a lot of teams are looking at you guys and wondering, are you this 40-7 team that beat Navy, or who are you going to be this year? Just talk a little bit about the opportunity to go out there and kind of show the Mountain West what this Air Force football team is all about.
I don't really know if we have to be a team that everybody thinks is going to perform well. We have to go out there and do our job every week, and at the end of the day, what's on the scoreboard is really all that matters. So we're not really too worried about what's going on everywhere else in the conference. We've got our place here, and we've got our team, and that's what we're worried about. So as long as we do our job and take care of business every week, that's what we're concerned about.
Sorry, one of the big cliches in football is obviously that teams make the biggest jump from week 1 to week 2. Is that expanded because you guys had 3 weeks between games, or do you lose some of that momentum?
It's definitely different having such a long time off, but I think it's something we can expand on and just continue to improve. You know, we had some time to refocus and get people healthy if they got nicked up from the first game. So, I mean, it's one of those things where we can take it day by day, mentally and physically, to get better, to improve our chances as we go forward.
And when you look around the offense, I mean, a lot of the guys are veterans, but there are some newcomers like you and, you know, Kyle Patterson. Do you sense in yourself, or do you see from anybody else a new comfort level, a new, you know, a change after having played a real college football game?
Yeah, I definitely think the more experience you have, the more comfortable you get. You know, Kyle, in the past couple of weeks, I've seen him kind of just grow a little bit and not calm down or anything, but he's just more comfortable. So I think there's just a whole different comfort level. The more you play, the more experience you get, especially with us having a service academy game. You know, for us, that's not that the conference isn't intense, but that's pretty intense for us. You know, there's different stakes on the line. So having that sort of added pressure as a first game helped, I think, everybody kind of settle down and figure their roles out and take it day by day and get better.